the last piece that very few people realize is a business in of itself is that management company. The management company needs to be able to charge enough fees, monthly fees, recurring fees, leasing fees, whatever it might be, to cover all the manpower and the headache to operate a property and make a profit. I want to talk about property management. It is misunderstood by so many folks, especially beginners. You see a listing, a property that's for sale on LoopNet or through your local broker. You look at how it's underwritten and you see a line item for an answering service and a part-time employee, a guy who stops by sometimes and checks on your facility. That is often property management, and it is often the way that I recommend starting, you being that part-time guy and you being that answering service. But as you grow, you learn, as you scale, as you build out a real estate portfolio, you learn the importance of property management and how at scale, it often becomes more expensive. And this sounds wild, it sounds different, but let me tell you a little bit about what I've learned as we've grown our real estate portfolio and added 25 properties, 680,000 square feet, and built a management company with 15 employees. So the difference between the way a small town broker, a small town owner underwrites management and the way the big players underwrite management is clear, because management is not necessarily a part-time phone answering service and a guy who goes out to the facility. True property management is a full-on business. Property management is a third party, oftentimes kept in-house, meaning it's a third party, but I manage it. I own that company with my partner, Dan. True property management is a full-on business in and of itself, and it does everything to do with managing a property so that the owner, so that the investors, so that the people who own a piece of real estate simply sit back and collect checks. They make it truly passive for the owner. And it's never truly passive. You need to check on your management company. You need to open your emails. You need to read your reports. You need to stop by your property sometime. However involved you want to be, it's up to you. But true property management and my property management company makes the real estate passive for our investors, meaning they do nothing. They get their tax returns. They check their email once a quarter or once a month, however often they want, to keep an eye on the property. An example of this, self-storage, you see a $1 million listing on LoopNet or through a broker, and you see that $800 a month line item for management. You see that guy who stops by sometimes. But the big players, if you were to hire CubeSmart, Public Storage, Extra Space Storage, some of the best operators in what I do in the storage business, you see 5% of gross revenue and oftentimes a minimum of $2,500 a month. You see a $299 to $499 after hours call service. You see $80,000 of budgeted on-site labor. You see an insurance split. You see a $30,000 setup fee. You see a branding fee. You see all these different line items that make the management truly passive. They take over a property. They charge you a $30,000 fee to set it up. And this big player is rewarded handsomely for doing their job. CubeSmart has a management division. This management division does the work to manage self-storage properties. Now, they don't work with that kind of overhead. They obviously do not necessarily work well with a 10,000 square foot facility, a 20,000 square foot facility, even a 30 or 40,000 square foot facility, because those expenses are too high for a small property to support. So the big player, they spend more, they are bigger scale, but they lease units and they drive revenue better than anybody in the business. Revenue management is the key in self-storage. They're driving rents every 8 months on current tenants. They have an algorithm that sets new pricing so that if there's only 2 or 3 units of a certain type available, the rents on those are driving at 10 to 15% higher than normal. Now, you take that example to multifamily investing, you see people who save on property management and they answer tenant texts, they answer tenant calls, they try to collect rent themselves, they go out to the property on Christmas Day because the boiler broke down. And then there's the other type, the type of investors who have a full-on inclusive management company with executives, with a team, or they outsource it all together to another company, and all they do is read their emails and chase additional deals. Now, what people don't realize about real estate is that a deal needs to work when you hit certain scale. A deal needs to work for 3 parties. First is the investor, the third-party LP, the silent investor. They need to get their risk-adjusted yield for doing absolutely nothing. They're passive. The second person that it needs to work for is the general partner, the GP. That's me. That's the person who owns the real estate private equity company. We're doing a co-invest, we're taking some fees, and we are getting a cut of the upside, the promote. If you listen to episode 3 of this podcast, you understand how all that works. And then the last piece that very few people realize is a business in of itself is that management company. The management company needs to be able to charge enough fees, monthly fees, recurring fees, leasing fees, whatever it might be, to cover all the manpower and the headache to operate a property and make a profit. I was talking to Chris Powers last week, and he said, we should not be called real estate private equity owners. We should be called real estate private equity operators, because operators are the winners. Operators are the X factors. We're operating that real estate. If you outsource to third-party management, that's one way to do it. But most of us, Moses Kagan, Chris Powers, me, we operate in-house because operating gives us a competitive advantage. I am a good operator. I know what I can do to drive revenue. I know how lean I can operate a facility. I can operate it remotely. I have call centers in the Philippines. So I have a competitive advantage. My secret sauce is my operations. And that is the way it works for almost all real estate investors. The X factor on any deal is your management. How well can you manage to keep costs low? How well can you drive rents? How well can you bring in new tenants? How well can you do SEO? How well can you do online rentals? All these different things. So my company has an advantage. Bolt Storage and me and Dan, we can underwrite a property, and we know that with the same amount of square footage in the same town, we can do double the revenue that another operator might be able to do. We answer the phones, we run ads, we keep the place clean, we have an optimized website. We are the ones that recruit and train and hire all the employees. We're overseeing the vendors on site. There's 6 vendors at each of our properties, from gate to lawn care to snow removal to pest control to overhead door companies, all these different vendors that need to do work when something goes wrong. The management company does it all. So, all that being said, serious self-management at scale is the key to many real estate investors. Me, Chris Powers, Moses. We do it in-house. We are operators. We are small business owners. And that's why so much of this real estate podcast is not only about financing deals, doing deals, passive deals. It is about running a business, marketing, hiring, training, firing. That's why my past and my pickup and delivery storage company is so valuable to what I do now. So lucky for you, and I'm going to tell you the good news, is that management companies are lazy. Property management companies are lazy. Moses Kagan reached out to me originally because he saw such a hole in the way most people in property management do that business. Property management is weak. If you don't drive revenue year over year, you can be leaving millions of dollars on the table. You show me a real estate property, a random real estate property in some town in America, I'll show you somebody who's undercharging, underutilizing, overspending, and doing things like 5 to 10 years ago, when the technology stack, the opportunities are totally changed today. So most real estate investors are passive, and most property management companies are lazy. The owners are wealthy. The owners are operating the real estate. It's producing good yield, and they do not innovate. And that is a tremendous advantage for you. Juniper Square, the sponsor of our show, recently did a capital raising survey. And in this survey, they asked 142 senior executives at US-based commercial real estate firms a series of questions to understand the state of commercial real estate fundraising. It's an insanely valuable report with data on questions like, how much capital did you raise last year? How long did your last raise take? What type of investors are you raising the most from? And what strategies are working the best for you to find new investors? Download this report for free at junipersquareresearch.com. That's junipersquareresearch.com. Big thank you to Juniper Square for sponsoring the show. Thank you for listening to the Nick Huber Show. Just wanted to remind you that we have a paid real estate community where some really special stuff is happening. People are breaking down deals. People are networking. People are, I think, even formulating partnerships inside this group. We have over 100 members now. For more information, you can visit sweatystartup.com/REC. And the first 299 members of the group, to get some momentum, get $200 off the annual membership using the code FIRST299, FIRST 299. And also, you can check it out for 5 days for $1. You make a $1 payment, you can check out the community for 5 days. Highly recommend it if you're serious about bringing in some other people into your network, into your life, to help you become a better real estate investor.